Welcome to another day with radio. Oh, restoring the village.
on the radio.
On radio on fire.
She's tired.
We are joined today with our special guest, Quita.
Hello.
Quita.
Hi, how are you?
Creator and founder of Smalltimore. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm. Smalltimore Homes.
Smalltimore
You just gotta
Homes.
flow with it, girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what?
I got the sound effects going on.
And my amazing co-host, Angie. Yes. Do you want to share some news? Because I see.
No. I was doing my homework and just ready for us to talk about this ending homelessness and affordable housing. You know I'm here for it. All of it.
So I had met Quita like a couple of months ago, and we was sitting there, we was having this intriguing conversation. I was like, I just have to bring you on because like we just would not shut up. Like I just was like so interested in what she's doing, why she's doing it. So we just gonna dive right on into all of it.
Okay.
So yes, tell us about Smalltimore.
You just gotta flow with it. Smalltimore.
Right?
Yes.
Smalltimore.
Yeah, just flow. I'm just not understanding.
Oh God, because it catches me because I want to say Baltimore, and then it's like, right.
So, Smalltimore Homes is an affordable housing nonprofit, and we build micro shelters and tiny homes for people experiencing homelessness. So I've built 3 micro shelters. We've been designing them with volunteers that come every month. And I designed and built my first tiny home as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where are they located? Or is it mobile or stationary?
So they are, yes, mobile. And the micro shelters, unfortunately, they're in storage because they're not considered legal dwellings here in Baltimore just yet. So I have to work on the zoning and things of that nature. Even the same with the tiny home that I built. It's 265 square feet. And the zoning laws, for the most part, in Baltimore require them to be at least 400 square feet. So I'm meeting and discussing with planning and zoning on ways that we can create an exception. So I plan to present to them a planned urban development, which has like the whole layout, the urban garden, the vertical garden. If you've ever been to Filbert Street Garden in Curtis Bay, they have geese and goats and bees and all those things. So I want all those to be present in my tiny home community so that it's its own little ecosystem.
So where are you at in the process of getting this legalized here?
Girl. If it was a
I
scale
know the
from
answer.
1 to 10,
Right.
it's like negative, okay?
Right.
Like Baltimore is really not with it right now, but I'm working on that because as far as I'm concerned, there are dozens of tiny home communities across the country that are thriving. So there's no reason why we can't do it here in Baltimore. And the one thing that makes it unique for Baltimore is that I also want to address blight and deconstruct some of the vacant homes that exist, salvage those materials and rebuild, tiny homes with those salvage materials. That'll create more jobs, that'll create housing for people. And I'm not sure if you've ever been homeless, but it's hard to get a job when you don't have an address. So
absolutely.
This is one of the very first steps to get people, back acclimated into normal society.
So you said is tiny homes throughout the nation. So in these states that do have these small homes, do you see a decrease in homelessness?
Absolutely. And some of the interesting things are like Baltimore, we kind of have a reverse of what other cities are seeing. So like in Seattle, they have like 2% vacancy, while Baltimore is different because there's over 30, probably closer to 40,000 vacant homes, but they need to be rehabilitated. You can't just move into them, which is part of the reason why I want to address blight. But to your point, yes, they're definitely decreasing homelessness. They tend to start with by addressing veteran homelessness, which I'm totally okay with starting there. But there's so many other demographics.
But you know why they want to address veteran.
Of course, yes. I mean, it's all about
that's
getting
where
your
all the
little
money.
gold star.
Right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm fine with that. We can start there, but domestic violence victims, LGBTQ youth have a huge homeless population, as well as foster youth and things of that nature that I would love to address as well.
Sounds good. I think for my question is for as far as the planning and zoning, have you reached out to any of the councilmen, council representatives, city hall?
Not in a super formal way, because we're about to have elections, and some of those people might be out.
Actually, it's the perfect time to do it. Right, what I want to tell you.
Yes,
because anyone that want to stay in is going to do their job to get it fast. So that's just me. But I think that would be my start of even if there's some zoning or legislation that needs to pass. The first step should be with the council person. Right. Either if you're trying to do a certain district, but as far as just trying to get this throughout the city, I would say like going through the urban development or the development. That will really be a big step to talk to the councilman. I believe it may be Bullock. I'm not sure, but I would definitely share this video and see if there's anything that we can do on that end.
Yeah, that would
definitely
be really helpful.
No, is a need for it here. But that's why I was so intrigued by what she was doing, because I did homeless outreach for years, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is like a gold mine idea. Like, why are they not jumping on top of this? There's like so many encampments out here, and
you would think they would want to address it.
Right.
So the only issue is that the square footage is not meeting the requirement
for the most part. I mean, also, even though it's a nonprofit, I need money to purchase land. If the city isn't going to just give me land and say, hey, you can do this here. But
technically, it is land where people are like squatting at.
I mean, so many technicalities. Yeah. But I mean, because my thing is, regardless of square footage, if the alternative is sleeping on the ground, wouldn't you want someone to have a shelter or housing?
But that's just the thing.
But
they
again,
want it?
No, right. But it's definitely, I think it's a great idea. I think that just laying this out and also making sure that you present it, properly to different people that can help you get, further. Yeah. So I definitely, again, would just encourage you to not give up, which I know you're not.
No, absolutely not. It's going to get done.
Oh, yeah. It will. So we talk about like homelessness, and we do know that it's a serious issue.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Our teens, LGBTQ, yes, everything.
It's an everybody problem.
It's an everybody problem. But there are certain solutions. Even when we talk about the blight and the abandoned homes, the vacant homes, there are so many things. And if the person just had just a little bit of support.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So that they could begin to thrive.
They can.
Yeah.
Well, that's my word there, thrive.
Yes. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, it's not about, just giving people anything. It's more of a helping hand, and they can transition back into what we consider everyday life. Like, I know a bunch of my friends, like even talking to them, it's hard to muster up first month rent, last month rent, a security deposit, moving, all these things that people are like, why don't they just get a job and move it? But you can't get a job without an address.
Even when they have a job, it's still hard to come up with those items, because you're talking about a security deposit that can equal 2 months rent.
Easily.
Right. So, and then you're talking about somebody that's been living on the streets for so long. They don't have anything. They don't have furniture. They don't have belongings. So securing money for those items as well. Yeah. So it's a lot of things that come into factor when trying to rehouse people that have been homeless that people don't understand.
Absolutely. So there's a huge knowledge gap, like that people don't understand that, it takes, because to be completely honest, there are tons of people who are living in their cars, who are living out of storage units,
living in abandonment homes, living in hotels.
Yes, couch surfing. I came
across
even
a lot.
And all these people, whether they know it or not, they are considered someone who's experiencing homelessness.
Right.
And then there are those who are facing eviction and they're experiencing housing insecurity.
Right.
So they're just one step away from, you know, not having a place to call home every night.
And how much more, like, just hope will it give someone just to give them just a hand, you know?
Right.
Like you just said, sometimes it's just transitioning process. It's not to say this is going to be their livable condition for the rest of their life.
Right.
But just to help them and to know that they don't have to, they can be in a safe place.
Right. Right. Because one thing to consider is that if you're sleeping on the street, like, you have to watch all of your belongings, and you have to make sure that no one's going to steal your stuff while you're asleep. Like, having a micro shelter or even something larger like a tiny home, you'll have a place to store all your belongings. And then there's also shelter, and you're out of the elements.
And
you know?
with my experience, they will most likely be more safe with the micro homes versus going into a shelter, because a lot of people choose to sleep on the streets versus the shelter.
To avoid the shelter.
Right. To avoid, like, getting robbed and getting into fights and all of that stuff. So is a safer alternative as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then there's restrictions with the shelters. Like, to some degree, you have to be checked in by this time. You have to have a couple of dollars to pay for the bed.
Exactly.
You have to get checked out by a specific time. Children can't be a certain age with an opposite gender parent.
Right.
They have to go to a family shelter. The family shelters
and there's not that many family shelters.
Right. Like, there's a long waiting list. So it's one issue after the next.
Right.
So, yeah, I would like to address all of the things, you know, by creating homes.
That's good. So I actually was just looking up just to make sure. It is Councilman Bullock. He's the chair of the Housing and Urban Affairs. So just want to make sure that we try to get connected, at least to present the idea to him.
Absolutely.
And anyone else that can help, even if it's just direction and guidance.
Right.
We need to know how we can actually get it started.
Yeah. Because I also spoke with another organization, community, Housing and Community Development of Baltimore City. So I've been speaking to other, you know, organizations.
But we just want to make sure, like, we are presenting those that can actually push legislation.
That can change.
I mean,
that
not
can
to
make
say
changes.
Because we need all the advocacy, but actually can push the legislation.
Yeah, push the agenda. Yes. Absolutely.
So that is, and also I was just looking at just some of the things off of the website, Smalltimore's. Smalltimore Homes focuses on enhancing community living and improving neighborhoods by creating alternative ownership opportunities through micro shelters and tiny dwellings. We do have on the show with us today Laquita Chansey. Right?
Yes.
Thank you. I got it all right. And that right there stood out to me when I was on the website, but just to create alternative ownership.
Oh, I want you to talk about that.
So that right there stuck to me because even when we talk about, and it's kind of off of the subject, but when we talk about college, we need to talk about alternatives. So that right there stuck out to me, that you're trying to reach the entire city. Yeah. No matter where they are, we're trying to meet them where they are.
Where they are, absolutely. So I actually got started in real estate back in 2014. I have a for-profit. We buy homes, rehab them. And my idea was that I'm going to create all these new minority homeowners, yada, yada, yada. But really, so many people don't have the mindset to be a homeowner. They don't have the desire. They don't have the financial literacy. So with the nonprofit, which was founded February 2018, we implemented financial literacy workshops, things about how to keep more of your tax money, how to properly file your taxes. And, you know, I plan to start doing lease to own options. But really, I want to create homeowners. I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to be a property manager. I am, because it's putting some people in houses, but I would much rather create homeowners, because that creates wealth. And that is one of the easiest ways to create wealth, because everybody needs some place to live.
Exactly.
You know, so I try to, you know, get that across to people when I'm talking to them, even if they're like, oh, I can't afford to live in a house. But really, the thing about Baltimore, rents tend to be higher than mortgages. So it's easier than you think. I mean, and no, not everybody is ready, but there's so many financial fitness courses. There's so many housing readily classes that people can take so that they can learn how to put aside a little something if your HVAC or your garbage disposal goes up. Because one thing for certain, if you're living in an apartment, your rent is going to go up every single year. Okay? That doesn't happen with the mortgage. Like if you finesse it right, you can actually pay less, you know, as time goes on. But these aren't things that people are taught. And so, yeah.
So we talk about what's taught. I think that is like where we need to start, the mindset.
Absolutely.
Because many, as you made a great point, is that people are like, I can't afford to have a house.
Yeah.
They want to call on the landlord, but they're not looking at how much you're paying. You're like paying triple
how much would you be
the
saving?
amount for rent.
Right.
I know, just like without saying cost, but I know where I live, and I had a home in the next block that was for rent. Yeah, it was for rent. And I called family member, hey, you can come up, you know, won't you look into this home? They told me that price. I said, that's more than double.
Right. What you should be paying.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we look at that, but it's just something about, I hate to say this word, but it's something about commitment.
No, it's definitely
right.
I mean, this could be anything, relationship.
Exactly.
Like you're committed to this for whatever years,
at least 30 years.
Yeah, you're committed to that, a marriage, you know,
anything,
and that scares people
It
because
does,
we
definitely.
weren't taught that.
It does, but to your point, even if they are not wanting to commit to a 30-year mortgage, you can always rent that house out. You can always hire a property manager.
But people don't know that, though.
Right. You're right.
So that's
You're
why I say
right.
it goes with them.
And it's the whole mindset
Right.
thing, like teaching people, because one thing for certain, the government wants you to own a house. You can use your 401k as a down payment.
People don't know that either.
And that's how I bought my third house, actually. I used my 401k as a down payment. But like you said, people don't know that. But the government bends and, you know, all these rules. So you get to keep depreciation, you know, your taxes. All these things are write-offs because the government is in favor of it. If you're renting someone's house, you don't get any of those kind of considerations on your taxes, you know?
And you helping that person increase their credit.
Right. And they're probably charging you so much more than what their mortgage
yeah.
actually is. You can, if you've been paying rent for 2 years consistently,
you
you can afford to probably buy a house. Chances are, you know? Yeah. And another thing, people have to realize that it doesn't always have to be your forever house, the very first house that you're moving into. You know, it can be your starter home. And even if you have all your kids, it doesn't matter. Like, think of it as an investment because somebody is thinking of you as an investment in their house when you're paying rent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We want to encourage that going into 2020.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
After meeting Quita, that's on the top of my list now. Because I wasn't even thinking about, I always thought about home ownership.
Yeah.
But like you said, like that commitment part, I'm like, okay, I'm committed. But then I had to start thinking outside the box, like, okay, this could be an investment. I have adult children.
Yep.
Like, if I'm not happy with this, I can leave this with them and go buy me something else.
Absolutely.
Then flip that if I want to, then go buy something else. So I'm thinking about the bigger picture. So I'm all for it.
There are multiple opportunities and, like you just said, alternative ways that we can build wealth.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we do have, this is an investment.
Right.
Absolutely.
And, you know, for me, it's like you're investing in yourself, but also you're leaving a legacy. You're leaving something down.
Exactly.
I don't care who it is. You don't have children.
Exactly.
You're leaving it to a family member.
Yeah.
We actually had a situation like with my family and my grandparents' home, you know.
Yep.
We lost that home, but not on our end. So there are definitely, I don't say government, but there are so many oppositions to help us to not be owners.
Yeah,
to not have any stake, you know, be a stakeholder in this entire city. Call it gentrification.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
But call it like it is.
Yeah.
But there are just so many things that they try to like switch and twist around just so you won't have.
Exactly.
Yeah. But they know it because you look at who's buying the homes.
Yeah. But to your point, one of the biggest issues in Baltimore is our tangled titles. Like, it was Big Mama's house, and then Auntie moved in, but Big Mama never put Auntie on the title. And so then Auntie's like, dag, there's something wrong with the roof, and now she's not eligible for whatever city grant or whatever.
House.
She's not on the deed.
Let's go even further.
Yeah.
Let's go even further.
But to add to that, though,
Okay,
there are programs that help people with their tangled titles. So I'll figure out what it is. Follow me on smalltimorehomes.org, and I'll post it.
I know that's
right. Get that plug out.
Yeah.
Now, okay. So
on the other side.
Okay, so we're going to talk about going even further with Smalltimore. Just stay tuned. We're going to take a commercial break. This is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies. You're listening to Radio on Fire, the voice of urban America, streaming worldwide on radioonfire.com/live. Also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Radio on Fire or DJ Don McKay. It's the Radio on Fire News Network. Now let's get back to the show. On you, ladies.
All right, listen to that.
Yes, all professional.
Listen, we got a lot of good things going on 2020, okay? So make sure y'all continue to follow and support Radio on Fire and RTV Radio Show, which stands for Restoring the Village. And each and every Tuesday, we're here spotlighting, highlighting, and just putting some light to a lot of the things that are going on in our city that needs to be talked about. But, of course, the media is not going to put some light to it. So we're going to do it ourselves, and we're going to continue to restore our village. Going back into what we were just talking about as far as, the deed, name changes, transfer of deeds, and so forth. I actually just wanted to go a little further, and maybe this can be another topic going forward. I did a workshop 2 years ago on it. Missed it last year. Hopefully I can get back into it, but I think it's so important. When I was talking about my, grandparents' home and stuff, it had everything to do with just, I would say, the lack of a will. That's very important.
Yeah.
Right. Even if a person is living and they just didn't transfer the deed, and it's just all these hurdles. But let's just say down the person has died, and us black folks, let's talk about it. How many have even have a will?
Listen.
That's very important. Okay, look, we like,
but then you gotta start digging. So
we're talking about. So we're talking about. This is what happens when I die, basically.
Yeah.
And they don't want to talk about that.
Right.
And this it's not new because we didn't have it when my grandparents didn't talk about it.
Right.
They could have left things, not to say it's on them, but that was never handed down. That's again going back to that. And so I actually have a will, and I'm gonna tell you why. Probably the only reason I do is because I lost my husband at a young age. It pushed me knowing that I'm the only parent for my child. But had that not even happened, I don't think I would have thought about it, because if it wasn't handed down to me, I didn't know about it. I don't know many people that are really talking. I go even further, and I done got obituary written out. Look, I talked to my child. I talked to the oldest, and like, this is obituary, this is that shit. I don't want to talk about it.
Right. People
so
don't usually have those conversations until they're like 60,
hit,
70,
or
something
when
bad,
reality
if
hit.
they ever have it.
And I'm sitting here like, well, who's going to tell my story better than me?
Right. Absolutely.
And how do you know what I have? You might just know about the house, but you don't know everything.
You don't know about everything.
Exactly.
You don't know. So to your point, in 2020, probably every quarter, I'm going to do a will writing workshop or something.
That's awesome.
Plug Smalltimore Homes. Follow me on Instagram. You'll see the advertisements there.
We can link up.
Or smalltimorehomes.org, the website. But to your point, I had to write my will in order for my grandmother to write hers. Like it was so hard for us to have that conversation. Like, she just didn't want to do it. And I'm like, well, I have a will, Granny. So why don't you have one? And to be honest, I'm not even sure that she even wrote her will. But my thing was, well, I have one, so now it's your turn. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not a conversation that people like to have, even though it's inevitable. Like, the only thing that's guaranteed in life is death.
Well, I know for me, my dad, he had a will for probably now 15 years now, 15, 20. And like now he's almost 80. So he'll start talking about like he'll be like, well, this is what I want to wear when I die. This is how I want my ambition. I'm like, are we doing this right now? Like, I don't want to talk. He was like, well, you're going to have to. Yeah. And I want it just like this. And it better not be nothing else.
You better take notes.
And you better take notes.
Like, Dad, we're not doing this right now.
My dad told me everything that we talked. And he told me that he wanted to be, you know, buried and all this other stuff. And, you know, where he wanted to be next to his wife. Everything he...
Yeah, my dad wanted his body back in South Carolina. I'm like, wait a minute.
So I told my daughter, I'm like, I want to be cremated. No, you can't be... You better...
Right.
You know? Yeah. So, you know, it's just like... But they are your wishes. And also, just let me put a plug. But no, seriously, I also just want to encourage people that, okay, you may not... I don't know, want somebody to locate your will. Make sure you register it at the Register of Wills.
Yeah.
And
that's downtown. I didn't know.
Yeah, downtown. Okay. You can register for $5. You can go back in and change as many times you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
and you probably should, like once a year.
You want somebody
because
on there,
stuff happens.
And now next year you like, I ain't messing with her. She ain't gonna give me
right. Exactly, because you know what happens. You know what happens.
Or adding something. You know, maybe you purchase another home and you need to put that on. It's whatever. But that is kind of what I would say really, on top of just a whole entire mess, because we still could have got around that because they knew that he didn't have a will. They played it.
Yeah.
And when I say they, I'm talking about the mortgage company.
Yeah.
And they played it.
Yeah.
And I was getting ready to say, because I seen that happen.
They played it to a T,
right.
to the point where they had a lawyer, to the point where we were willing to pay the money just to keep bills paid. We were paying it. Yeah. Anything he had to be done. But they said, no, you're not on the... he didn't have a registered will. He didn't. We weren't considered a beneficiary.
Right.
They played it and they knew. But we went to court. We did all the things that was needed legally. We actually was in the... We basically won that case.
Yeah.
But they did some...
Yeah,
they twisted it around.
That's
all I'm gonna say.
I seen that happen.
And I think that is part of really my drive. I know LaQuita, no, but
go for it.
No, I'm just saying for this. It just make me like, that was the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
But
because you lived it.
Right. Yeah, I lived it. I went to court. I was fighting this thing. I had the judge basically say, you know, we're not going to let them take the home. I have it in writing. Mm-hmm. And they went, and even the judge was like, he was cussing and fussing because they did it illegal.
They did what they wanted.
But it's like, do you have the money to keep fighting this lawyer?
Right.
His mortgage company? Do you have the time?
And of course you don't.
Have
because behind the mortgage company is a big bank.
Right.
It's a big business.
Yes.
In Baltimore City.
Yeah.
To take the homes. And this is why you get letters and everything else. You know, we'll buy your home. It's big business. And they bank on that people don't have the knowledge of it, don't have the resources, or they don't have the person fighting. And even though we had someone actually, you know, trying to give the money, they basically said, we're going to give your money back because you can't pay it because your name is not on the deed. They went from switching it back and forth with a power of attorney. I mean, they did so much illegal things. And I say all that to say is that is partly, there's so many reasons, but that really pushed me to even try to run. I'm running for city council, and when I know that people are losing their homes, or they don't have the knowledge, or they don't have the resources, or, you know, so Smalltimore Homes, your knowledge, the things that you see, these are things that people need to see and be made aware of.
Absolutely.
It's so funny because it's just easy stuff, but they don't want us to know it.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the sad part.
Right. Right. Because it's not like I learned it in school.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I had to read a lot of books and, like, recognize, well, what's the best way to invest? And how do I help these people who contacted me because they're going through foreclosure or their grandfather's about to lose a house? Like, I had to learn and stumble every step of the way. But it's information that I'm willing to share because I know it'll benefit our community, like, exponentially.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep, I'm with it.
Power segment here. Again, we have LaQuita Chancey of Smalltimore Homes. We are talking about affordable housing. We're talking about ending homelessness. These are just alternative ownership opportunities through her micro shelters and tiny dwellings. This is major, and we're also talking about some of the I would say the micro factors here of the issues that we have due to homelessness. There are so many factors. Sometimes we just make sure that we never try to judge anyone and why.
Right.
The why.
Because I come across, I've been working with, I did homeless in Baltimore for probably like 5 years, and now I'm in Howard County. But the stories that I come across, you wouldn't even imagine. Like, you would think that people are just out here, like, people perception of people that's homeless. Oh, they use drugs. Oh, they are criminals. Oh, this, that, and no. I worked with clients that were like lawyers or doctors, and somehow they got sick, or they lost a spouse, or it's something,
whatever the case,
that changed their circumstances to the point that they were not able to work no more. And then when they're not able to work, they're not able to pay bills, and then they find themselves living in their car, or they're somewhere. So it's like, you really can't judge why you see people living on the streets.
It absolutely happens faster than one would think.
Right.
You know?
It absolutely does.
And we talk about mental health.
Exactly.
That plays a big part. Like, even for a person to have... I posted something the other day, and I just said, this is where it all started. Meaning, when I lost my husband to violence, I had to choose to live. I had to choose to wake up. And there are some people that
don't have that
they've
choice.
Checked out mentally. So they're choosing to live on the street, or they just don't have the energy, strength, or just drive to even wake up anymore.
Or they were already dealing with depression before something
and that just
happened.
So it's there was one person, I don't even remember. It's been a while, though. I remember I was talking to him, and he basically, and I can't remember exactly, he said so much, but he basically said he chose to be homeless.
Yeah. Oh, so, I heard that before.
You know, so maybe just the responsibility, it was just in life.
It was too much.
Yeah. People don't want to be a part of the system. They don't want to be held accountable.
Exactly.
Whatever the
they
case.
have said that,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them that
he was okay
it's
with
like
it.
that. Yeah. They okay living outside with no bills, no responsibilities. They will get fed because they'll go to like the nearby soup kitchens, or someone will come past with food. So,
but to that point, like, my bleeding heart still believes that everybody deserves shelter.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Regardless of those decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I absolutely I absolutely believe that. Just making sure that we understand that it's going to take like a holistic approach to this. Sometimes just understanding why, and it could be as simple as just they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so having a workshop, if you said quarterly.
Year. So we do financial fitness workshops, different categories or whatever, but we do them monthly. But at least once a quarter, I'll make sure that we're doing something that addresses putting together your will, your power of attorney, your living will.
I was going to say
all of these things,
because it's
like
power of
4
too,
or 5 like documents that everybody should have. And by everybody, I mean there are people who absolutely believe everybody should have it, and then our community knows nothing of it. You know what I mean? And so we just need to get hip and catch up to what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember when my father, he was in the hospital. You know, they always do like the advanced directives and make sure. And he was so, and I don't know if this is the case for some, but he was just like, he don't want nobody to know his business.
Yeah.
So that's the case. He wasn't ready to like let me know anything. You know, like, you act like you got a whole lot of money, boy.
Right.
And then I also said that was different. It wasn't your financial. It was more of your medical. But it's just, I laughed at it because there are people who like, I mean, you got people like my grandmother, she used to have her money in her, you know, there are just people that just, that's their privacy. That's what they, and they don't want everybody in their business. But they don't understand the end result.
The consequence of not knowing.
Once we don't know.
Yeah. But I think like the scary part for them, because I know when my dad had to decide to designate me as his power attorney, is the thought of, okay, if I've truly come incapacitated, like my life has to be in someone else's hands. So then he had to think, I would rather for that to be my daughter than anybody else. But I think it's just that, and he told me that it's just that thought of not being able to decide for himself. Because I'm a power of attorney over finances and medical. So just in case, like he's still, well, like he's 80 and he's still sharp as I don't know what. Like I don't even know why I'm like controlling his finances. I tell him that every time, but he was like, because I don't feel like it. That's his answer now.
Yeah, he done lived. He
right,
done
that's what he said.
He done set it up. You might as well do it.
And I'm like, I know this is not my life. Like, but
I definitely know. And then we probably need to have even. I mean, come on, let's plan.
I'm with it.
We can partner up. But
I told you, I went like when we first met, because you know I got my nonprofit for domestic violence. I was a light bulb went off like this would be amazing housing.
Right, domestic violence survivors. Absolutely.
What really just came off of my head was even things like you just said. And even with me, like I took care of my dad, I was legal guardian and everything. A lot of responsibility. Oh God!
Right,
but I think just something also just for caregivers. I think just sometimes it's not always like, and again it goes back to responsibility. Something we just don't have. I don't understand.
Right.
Or we pull away from, should I say? But something for caregivers to encourage them. There are some people that have different organizations that do that, but just kind of pulling together our resources.
Absolutely.
Supporting one another, letting people know, and maybe just the educational part. Let them know there's a medical and there's a financial. They're both.
Yeah.
There are things that you can do as far as resources, support groups, but I think that helps, and also for the I don't say the patient, but even for the person that needs that support, letting them know, even when you register your will, like they can't go and look at that,
Right.
You after you pass, you're given your death certificate. It's a whole process. It's not like someone's going to take this whole thing and know your whole business. Like it's public information.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
I think just taking away that myth, that that thinking of that, stereotypes, that will help a lot.
Yeah, just kind of laying it all out. Like this is factual. This is factual. This is a myth.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm with it.
Amazing.
I'm with it. I'm gonna pick a date. I'm gonna tag you in the date. Like, does this work, sis?
Tag me, girl. Tag me. After the election.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Yeah, she busy. I'm for it though.
Yeah.
I'm for it because I know I come across a bunch of women like that's experiencing like leaving their relationships and not knowing where to start or where to go. Yes. Especially like if they 90% of them have depended on their partner their whole entire time that they was with them. So like helping them like to get back to the groove of things, like getting housing, getting a job, like trying to figure out their finances, budgeting, like that's what I want to do.
I mean, and to your point though, like in so many of those situations, that was the goal of the abuser. Right. You know what I mean? Like let me control everything.
Exactly.
And then you can't do anything.
Exactly.
But there's help out there.
But then it's like getting their confidence back up. Like, okay, they can do that because like I'm dealing with a young lady now, like her mindset is, I can't do anything without him.
Lies.
And it's like, why do you, like, even think that way? Because she was like, because I always depended on him. So without him, like, I'm not going to be able to take care of my kids. I'm not going to be able to pay bills. I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
But you want to continue staying with him so he can beat on you. So, like, like, so that mindset.
Lies.
Right. All lies.
The new word of the day is lies. I'm going to use that. I'm trying to tell you, that's just going to be the new word. We have to make sure that we are just equipped it with the correct information.
Exactly.
To be a resource in our community. Like, even once we receive that information, it's now
so
our job
pass it
to
on.
pass it on.
Right.
Yes.
You know, pass everything. You know, the legacies, the equity. Let's talk about everything.
Exactly.
But I, even with my daughter, she's 20. She'll be 21.
Oh, my son
turned
turned 20 Sunday.
Oh, gosh. But, she's 20, and there are certain things things I talk to her about, of course, they're at an age where this is just like, okay, Mom, why are we talking about it?
Right.
But I know
they don't understand,
she may not understand it, but I'm telling you, she was like, I think I'm turning into you. That's what she told me. Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Right. When I met you, I told you that my soon-to-be 20-year-old, like, he been wanting to get into real estate. He want to get into, like, this whole property thing. So I'm like, well, start now. Like, what are you waiting for? Yep. Like, he's like, wow, I'm taking college classes. Well, take that real estate class online and get your real estate license. Yep. And then you go, like, find a realtor to work under. And, like, you do it like that. Right. Yeah. Like, so I don't understand.
Yeah, get started or at least start reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
He do, though. Like, he really be, like, into it. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do this. Because he was like, eventually he went on his own nonprofit. He had just switched his major to social work so he could minor in business. Because he was majoring in business. Yeah. So I was like, but he should have stayed. But that's another topic. Yeah. But I'm like.
He'll learn once he's in the game.
Right. He will. But I'm like, the start, like, I wish I had that mindset. Right. At that age. Right. So, like, I keep on drilling in him, too. Like, okay, this is. If you want to be an entrepreneur, like, do it. Like,
go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. We always say we wish we had it when we were that age. This is what my daughter told me. So, I get it. I get it. But were we really trying to hear it? Even at that age? And I had people. I had my grandparents telling me, they showed me about owning a home and everything else. Now, later down the line, it's already stuck and embedded. But I'm just saying, at a certain age.
See, but notice you said you had someone to. I didn't have anyone. No,
I had. Me neither. I bought my first house before my parents had theirs.
What I'm saying, well, I mean, my grandparents, but my parents didn't have it. I mean, I lived with my grandparents.
But you had someone.
I'm sure we all know somebody that owned a home.
I didn't.
I did, but it wasn't a conversation we were having.
Yeah, we didn't have a conversation.
I didn't have.
So what I'm saying is, my father had custody of me. He didn't own a home, but I know my grandparents who were married. They're the only ones that can probably give me that. I would say the way things should be, you know. But they were my grandparents. Again, my parents didn't have that. Right. So, and no one had to talk because it was like a
secret.
I don't know. It's like they just they didn't talk about it. Just set the example walking around.
They just like we just doing it.
We just didn't have the conversation. So I never had it. And now this is why I push to talk about everything with my daughter. Because no one talked to me. Yeah. Right. So what I'm saying is that this is why it was even harder. Like saying to get married and saying to get a house, and no one had set that example for me. Right. But to know I can always go back to, with my grandparents. So, yes, I did have that, that foundation. But it still was rare to have anyone owning a home. I probably was the youngest one that owned it, versus my uncles and aunts and stuff. But it was more like, this is what I know was correct. Mm-hmm. This is what I saw them flourishing and able to do, So this was actually a good thing to be a part of. I got new glasses.
So silly.
So I don't know if anyone had any questions. We were just talking, but this is really good. But we will be wrapping up soon. We want to just thank Laquita for coming on and talk about Smalltimore.
I'm always ready to talk about Smalltimore.
I know, and we're talking about workshops, and we're talking about things that the village needs. So can you tell people, if anything else that we did not talk about with the Smalltimore, you can have that opportunity and ways that they can contact you.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't know if you can see my shirt, but it's 2 L's, SmallTimoreHomes.org. So monthly we have our financial literacy classes. We also have monthly volunteer builds at the Community Tool Bank where we put together our micro shelters. And we're just constantly doing things with the community. We have clothing drives. We give out food. And, come and connect with us. Talk with us. Interact on Instagram. Don't do it on Facebook. I don't really be on there like that. But interact with us on Instagram. The website is smalltimorehomes.org. I answer all the emails. You can see all the events that we have coming up. And we're trying to engage and create housing for everybody, because everybody needs shelter. Exactly. And creating generational wealth. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And worth.
And
make it worth it.
And self-worth. All of it. Yes.
Well, we would definitely be linking up.
Yeah.
Because I love everything you're doing. So.
Yeah, let me know when y'all got a little open spot. I'll come right back. We can keep talking.
Well, look at that.
You see whose seat
you know what?
That's
not what I meant. That's another show.
That is not what I meant.
Already got the cue. So thank you guys for tuning in to another great show. I did want to say one thing. I just wanted to say shout out to, I'm going to do my shout outs, to Alexander Freeman over at Morgan. He's actually doing some great things over at Morgan State University, and we are trying to do some kind of interview on the campus to spotlight the things that he's doing. He's offering organic pads and tampons, all organic pads and tampons for females. So this is actually good. I put a little plug in for him, but we're gonna make sure we.
It is. Yes, it very good thing.
Organic.
Yes, organic.
You'd be surprised the chemicals
I'm trying to tell
right.
you this is a whole big thing, and
right.
it's very major. I'm going to share a picture on our page, and I'm going to let you know that he's doing some great things, and if we can donate to his good effort, that would be great. So shout out to you.
Are these pads free?
So Alex Freeman, shout out to you at Morgan. And again, thank you for all of your work in the community. And also thank you to everybody who's tuned in. It was a great show. We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Let's continue to restore our village.
Peace.
Peace.